Howdy nerds. So I just wanted to show everyone the summer sale that happened from this distributor for all of the failed product from Magic the Gathering's 2022 era. And geez, my patrons came through, they ordered a ton of this stuff. And you know what the sad thing about this is? Like, look how many boxes. This is easily more weight than all the pre-release you had ordered. I think this only cost like a grand, $1,000 for all of this stuff that was in here. So I'm gonna actually just start unboxing a little bit and kind of talking about the state of Magic the Gathering, the goods, the bads, the ugly. We are in a crazy market again. Every time I think I have a handle on how the market is, fastball is thrown my way. So first of all, I want to talk about a few things here. Let's start off with Pokemon sealed product. So this stuff is from the Sword and Shield era, is starting to go nuts. I was surprised. I used to break this type of stuff down, but a lot of these type of products have actually gone up. It makes me rethink the Scarlet and Violet era to see if I actually want to go deep on Scarlet and Violet. Now, booster boxes have always been just, I guess it's just the tried, tested, and true. Now I was even wrong about Scarlet and Violet era. We have booster boxes from Pokemon that are outperforming Lorcana, One Piece, Flesh and Blood, and Magic. And it was I don't know, I'm kicking myself, but at the same time, I have to, like, cash flow is important. You can't sit on products forever. I was buried in tens of thousands of dollars of Pokemon product. And you see, we're doing good. I'm glad I held on to this stuff. Like, a lot of people advised me to unload this stuff when it was at its low just to recoup capital. And now I'm kicking myself for even unloading, like, 25% of it. There's just insane stuff with, like, building battles from Sword and Shield era are expensive. I saw someone bought out all the Chilling Reign and Fusion Strikes for building battles. And building battles were typically products. What I was doing with these suckers is they could not sell on TCG Player. These were such awful, awful products. And then same thing with locally, we could do them for events. And we tried. What we were doing with these is we were breaking them down. So I was taking the packs out of them and giving them to kids just as a way to get them into Pokemon. So what we do is we'd hold free tournaments every Saturday and give them the build and battle, because these things are so dumb. So compared to, this is one thing I can't stand about Pokemon, compared to Magic the Gathering pre-release kits. So these are both used for pre-releases. You get to use the vast majority of cards in here. Build and Battle, you get some packs. What is it, like 2 or 3 packs that are included in here, or 4 booster packs. You get 4 booster packs from this Build and Battle, and you get a pre-constructed deck. And there's typically like 4 or 5 different decks that are included in these Build and Battles. So already you're gonna get so much redundancy if you open up most of these. And then the deck itself is going to be your deck you play with. There is a rare chance that you actually get maybe a trainer or one that goes in your colors, or you get like a generic Pokemon that actually is good that can be slotted in your deck. But the vast majority of the time, you're not even tampering with that 40 card deck. You're not editing it whatsoever. You're playing the 40 card deck, you get what you get, and that is your experience that you play. And it becomes very redundant and miserable. And so it's the exact opposite. So like, we try to do Pokemon Leagues where you start with a build and battle and just open packs to try to get cards that work, and you're still, throughout the majority of the league, you are still stuck with that original build and battle deck that you opened, and very few packs even upgrade it. And so it's kind of a miserable experience, the limited environment for Pokemon. And whereas Magic the Gathering is fun, you play every booster pack is a massive upgrade to your pool. So anyway, what we were doing with these build and battles, we were breaking them down and we were doing free Saturday tournaments to try to get Pokemon going here. Well, I've pretty much given up on Pokemon. Like, Pokemon, as far as playing it, is very, very rough. It's a kid's game, but what ends up happening a lot of times is you get a lot of older people that play with the younger that want to really spike it up. And unfortunately, I think Pokemon, the skill level is very... So, I wanted to try to explain the personality type that is good with Pokemon. It's people that are very good at memorization and repetition. So people that are good with knowing what is in a deck and how to pilot a deck, and knowing kind of the odds of, or again, sequencing and things like that, do very well in Pokemon. I don't think there's a lot of what we call bluffing or skill like there is in Magic the Gathering. There's no stack, you don't do anything on your opponent's turn. But that doesn't downplay the amount of skill it takes to play Pokemon. And so what ends up happening is Pokemon, when we start getting Pokemon going, eventually you'll get players that are just better and have better wallets. And what ends up happening is that, they're going to be able to just crush everyone in Pokemon. And then predominantly this being a little kid's game, it just kills the scene. And so we keep trying to get Pokemon going with kids, but we've just found out that basically relinquish the fact that we're going to sell basically to collectors. So when the market is hot for collectors, for people who want to open up packs, that's when you really do want to be in Pokemon. We had a weird time with Pokemon as far as globally is concerned. The numbers still for Scarlet and Violet for people that are actually playing in tournaments is above and beyond anything. They've crushed all the numbers for pre-release attendance, for Worlds attendance, for views on Twitch. I've noticed a lot of Pokemon channels went from being pack opening channels to actually playing. There were some Pokemon YouTubers I used to follow just to kind of gauge the market. There was one point I tried to dip my toes in Pokemon, and they were stuck in the thousands of subscribers for years. And then in the Scarlet and Violet era, a lot of these play channels have just absolutely crushed it. They've gone up to 50,000 to 100,000 subscribers, and we've seen the exact opposite happen with the box openers, to where Scarlet and Violet was just an era that people did not find enjoyable collecting and opening boxes. Now with this latest set, Temporal Forces, it has, or Twilight Masquerade, I think it is. Twilight Masquerade is the one that everyone wants right now. The pull rates have now been reduced again, and there are people that are wanting to collect Pokemon again, and it's actually breathed some new life into this era product of the Sword and Shield. So now people start working backwards. So inevitably, this is what happens in both Magic, but even more so in Pokemon, is when people get into the game and into collecting, they start with the current sets and then they start working backwards. So we're starting to see this stuff actually go up in price. So a good breathing room for me, because you can see I have a lot of Elite Trainers. I actually have a lot of booster boxes left. They're in a different room. I didn't go very deep in Pokemon. Again, I should be kicking myself for it, but I highly encourage you to stick in markets that you know. And for me, it's Magic the Gathering. I know everything about Magic the Gathering. I know the cyclical market. I know like rotations and formats, and for me, it's a lot easier for me to feel secure and know that I can move Magic the Gathering than I can with Pokemon. However, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, One Piece are all things that, if you are into this kind of flipping market, those are some things that you should definitely get under your wing and kind of know those markets. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents about what's going on with Pokemon. One Piece. One Piece is also a very interesting thing. It's crashing pretty hard because the reprints are starting to come in. I think the arbitrage is also starting to come into effect. People can realize that in the Japanese market, English versions are printed. You can get them from Southeast Asian countries in English, and now they're starting to come back into the ecosystem in the United States. So, of course, we knew that would happen. You can't have a booster box that sells for 3x, 4x in one market and sell for basically MSRP or distributor price in another. Arbitrage will come into effect, and it will start to fill that gap. We've also seen simultaneously a lot of reprints happening from all of One Piece. One Piece does not have a policy of one and dones. We see even OP01 get slow reprints here and there, and I think it was the latest one where I get like some OP04, and it trickles in, but those trickles do affect the market, especially when people want the newer cards. They don't really want the older cards. A small trickle, you can reference Ixalan Commander decks, for example. Just even a small reprint can absolutely crush the value of stuff when it's not really, the eyeballs are on those sets. So anyway, a little bit of caution with One Piece. I think it might be time to be scaling back a little bit on, we've had to play the game with distributors. Typically what happens with a couple of particular distributors is they're going to allocate you 20%. So if you want 40 boxes, you have to try for, at that point, you have to try for 200 boxes, to try to get your 40 boxes. So unfortunately what that can happen is then distributors want to stick you with 200 boxes, and then it's happened to me many times like Lorcan and other sets where you just get actually overwhelmed with product that then is now selling at distributor cost. So One Piece, I wanted to give a little bit of caution for it. On to Flesh and Blood. Flesh and Blood is a very weird market right now. The singles market is insane. The things are flying off the shelf for a lot of even older cards from Flesh and Blood. It seems like people are picking up pieces to play decks, and it really, like the Flesh and Blood, Pokemon, and Magic, Flesh and Blood and Magic and Lorcana market are really starting to prove to me that mass box openers were killed during 2022, 2023, 2024. I think the eBay fees, the TCG player fees, the amount of hassle, the amount of work has absolutely crushed a lot of people that went deep on mass box openings, and we're seeing a void, kind of a rift of people that used to fill that market. And now we're seeing a lot of singles prices like recover in the Flesh and Blood, and Lorcana especially. Lorcana movement has been insane in the past couple weeks, to whereas a lot of boxes are now positive, what we call EV, expected value. So if you were to crack a box, even at like the 130s for Floodborn or the 105 for Inklands, that you will, on average, come out even after fees on TCG Player ahead. So I'm thinking that that is going to be filled. Like typically that's what happens in markets, is when there is possibility of a return, people will fill that gap. So the warning about that though is typically what ends up happening is then too many people start doing it, and then there's too many chefs in the kitchen, and then it ends up happening, there's more sellers than are buyers. So anyway, it's interesting with those type of markets what is going on. So that's kind of my 2 cents of overall what's going on with the markets. And now I guess let's go ahead and get to the good stuff here. And maybe I'll just, there we go. We can kind of see what's happening. So there is my mountain of product. Let me get the, of course I'm not prepared here. Let me get my trusty knife so I can cut myself. And I'll tell you what's in here, and we'll show a little bit about this stuff. So this is still worrisome for Magic the Gathering because they continue to make products like this, and then reprint products when they shouldn't reprint. So I noticed that Lord of the Rings starter decks got a reprint. Why? Those things are positive EV, by the way. I think if you can still break apart like some of these starter decks. The Blue Pearl starter deck seems insane, actually. They have 2 mythics in them that actually people want, and so when it's in a starter deck that costs basically nothing, there might be some positive. At that point, it's not even EV. It's just because you don't expect the value, you know the value in the product. So if it's actually, worth more than opening it, then eventually people open up. All right. So yeah. So actually, this is about $2,000 worth of stuff here. So that we have here, and does it have a weight on here? It doesn't have a weight. I was hoping they had a weight of how much crap is here. But anyway, it is a lot of boxes here. It is. Like 15, I would say, what are these 50-pound boxes? No, they're like 25 pounds because there's a lot of space in these. Anyway, 15 boxes of this crap. So a little bit over $2,000 of stuff here. And so what is contained in here is going to be, ooh, what if there's 2 orders in here actually? Contained in here is going to be a lot of the free-for-all cartons. So this was kind of a failed product that I wouldn't say it's necessarily failed, because the original free-for-alls or the little game night ones did well, but they weren't overprinted. So this is what happens with Wizards of the Coast, is they'll release a product and then people will get super excited thinking that there is not enough of it out there, and they'll buy it up. Speculators, of course, will buy it up, and it sends a missed signal to Wizards of the Coast that this is actually a product that people want more than they actually do. And so what ends up with the Wave 2 or Wave 3, Challenger decks was a good example of this. Challenger decks flew off the roof the first time they did them. The second, third, fourth times they did them, every one decreased in demand. But the speculation was still pretty high for all of them, and it caused higher reprints for all, or higher print runs of all of them. And so there's just too much product of those particular products to actually have, find homes to the end consumer. So anyway, they came up with a product called the Free for All Game Nights, and it was originally supposed to sell for. It doesn't have the, of course, Wizards of the Coast got rid of MSRP on here, so I'm not sure how much it originally was supposed to sell for. Okay, so about $220 for 4, so $210 for 4, we'll say. So like $70? Were they supposed to be like $70 a pop? Anyway, I'll do the math of this. Maybe I'm way wrong here. Anyway, so anyway, 4 of them come in. 4 of them were supposed to sell for like $210s, and the overall price of them now is $110, $115 for these suckers. So a pretty good discount from these free-for-all cartons that, again, were just a lot of people didn't know about them. They weren't promoted. That's another thing I can't stand about Wizards of the Coast, is they oftentimes will create products and then be too lazy to really promote them, because they've got so much coming out that it's like, okay, free-for-all, well, we need to move on. Let's promote Lord of the Rings. Let's promote this next set. And these products become not very forgotten. So some other things that are in here are going to be the Strixhaven theme boosters. So theme boosters 2. I guess Zach is going to start opening it up since I'm talking. And then we have New Capenna pre-release packs. So New Capenna pre-release packs were almost discounted like 50% off their normal price. Yeah.
Just one freaking land. Their lands are like $20 now.
Yeah, but and we have Obnix that went up, but there really isn't anything else. That's the problem with New Capenna. And it was overprinted. New Capenna was the height of the printing of Magic the Gathering.
Nights?
Yes, so the game nights, that's what I'm talking about. So these suckers. Game
nights are awesome.
I mean, yeah, they are, if they'd be promoted. Like, yeah. Game Nights is a great product. Game Nights was a product that was trying to get board gamers into Magic. It was trying to get groups to say, here's 5 decks ready to go in a board game type setting, and try to get it into, playing like Magic type stuff. I wish they would have done it more in a commander form, because, free for all with a 1v1 format is weird. I mean, I guess there's still the politicking and stuff, but especially these decks, if you looked at some of the decks too, like you can't make like an aggro deck in a free-for-all format.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
same thing, control gets kind of weird. Like, you need like 5 mid-range decks is how it works, and these ones were kind of awkward with them. So
They're still cool though.
so that was very, very popular. A lot of people bought the theme boosters from Strixhaven, the Streets of New Capenna, and we have the free-for-all. So again, I'm going to open up. Now Zach just ran off with my knife, so I guess he comes in to be helpful and then runs off with my knife. Oh, no, I didn't. No, he didn't. It's right down there. I blame Zach for stuff that is definitely my fault. So anyway, let me show you this product, and then we'll kind of open up a few of these boxes and call it good, because we got a pre-release going on right now, or in a few hours here at Gone Rogue Games, which I want to do a video. I need to get better doing videos to show you. Man, we have sold out. What I mean by sold out is like all of our table space. Monday Commander Night, Thursday Commander Night, we're both packed. We had no table space left. And it's gonna be sad because I don't think we're maybe gonna have like 8 people for the pre-release, because everyone just wants to play Commander. And what's even sucks even more is we're gonna have so many people come in, because today's the day they can pick up their Commander decks and collector editions and play boosters. We're gonna have people that are gonna come in and they're gonna come and sit at our table, open up all the product and leave and not play the pre-release. Wizards, can you please release product a week later? So how I'd like it to happen is pre-release on pre-release weekend. That's it, nothing else. Pre-release, 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 that's it. Okay? Then early release for WPN stores. Then mass market box opening, or boxes, the next week, so the Walmart Targets. So then we can have our cake and eat it too as far as stores. We can run our pre-release, we can have early access to products where we can actually make decent profit margins before the Walmarts and Targets and Amazon sellers blow it out. And then the week after, then it can just be open to everything. So that would be ideally what would happen. Anyway, I digress so much. Don't you guys love my thought process? So anyway, this was the game nights. So here we are, and so one of my patrons, I need to quit offering this because this is going to be a lot of labor, but one of my patrons does want me to open these up and just send the cards. So someone is throwing their hat in the ring, they've probably done the math, and realized these game nights are probably just absolutely bonkers value at this point of getting them at a discount and just selling the singles, because there were some cards in here that were exclusive to game nights, I believe, or have only had like very few prints total, like in maybe like a jump start in this. So there, oh my God, can't even open up a box without, what am I gonna do with all these boxes, by the way? I'm gonna have so many boxes left over. So you have these like little +1/+1 counter tokens. They come in like pre-release packs now. You get a bunch of dice in here. So one of all the dice have their little life totals. So I don't know how these are. Maybe I'll have to remake my own versions of game nights here and sell it in these boxes. You got to be creative sometimes with bulk. If I lived in a bigger area, I'd do this stuff like crazy with like bulking out cheap. So anyway, you get one of every color of dice in here as they fall. And then and these dice are actually, they don't make these dice anymore. So they make the white dice, or the black dice now. So I wonder if these dice will ever become rare. But anyway, you get all of these decks that are just full of the cards. And so I think I can just keep these sealed. But I know that some of the mythics in these actually were sought after, like in Commander and whatnot. So that's what you get out of here. And again, this is what ends up happening with kind of the waste of this product is, and that this box is so dumb too, because you can't even sleeve the decks and put it back in. Geez, Wizards, do you realize that people actually sleeve your product? It was always one of my pet peeves with board games is they don't have room once you do actually sleeve the stupid cards in the board game. And most board gamers that want to keep their cards pristine, we sleeve them too. So anyway, you get that's what ends up coming out of that product is just, 5 ready to go decks. So man, this actually might be a good way to get people into Magic I know, but there's so many products like that. Starter kits start to keep with and everything. So anyway, those are the free-for-alls. And I'm sure most of these boxes are going to contain free-for-alls. Let me see if I can find one that has a different weight on it. No, I think it's going to be buried. So I'm going to show the other stuff that was, really in here. But this video has already gone long enough. Yeah, pretty crazy though. That's like $2,000 worth of stuff with just like 15 boxes full of things, and it shows you the waste that a lot of this stuff I think is so unnecessary for Magic the Gathering. Well, they've just missed a huge opportunity. If they wanted these products to actually like lead to people entering into Magic the Gathering and being like a net positive, that has been my problem with like Challenger decks. That's my problem with these decks that I get a lot of criticism for, because Kevin, these are great products to get in. Well, if Wizard Coast would actually do them properly, if they'd execute them properly, they would be. That's been my complaint with Wizard of the Coast, is they execute these products so terribly because they don't give enough breathing room and time to really push them. They don't give enough promotions at stores. They don't really tell the consumer why they need this product. And then this is what happens. It gets built up at distribution level and gets sold to pennies on the dollars. And again, is this really coming to the end user? Is this coming to people that want to play them? Or is same thing, that's my whole thing with challenger decks. Are they going to be broken down for singles, or are they actually going to be to the end user that actually wants to use them? And if it isn't, if the starter decks, if the challenger decks and these type of decks are not going to end users that want to use them, then there's a fail of a product. It doesn't matter if the singles are worth it. It doesn't matter anything else to the ecosystem of Magic the Gathering. If they didn't have their intended purpose, in my opinion, it just created noise to the Magic the Gathering market. Anyway, this has been a long video, 20 minutes of me rambling. I'm going to cut it long. Thanks for watching.